Yeah. Sand in my shoe, yeah, the heat don't quit. Desert breeze blowing through the skyline lit. Palm trees sway like they know the moves. Got the city on my back, yeah, I'm feeling smooth. Yeah, gold watch ticking, but I'm taking my time. Camel in the rearview, but the road is mine. Play dates and podcasts, yeah, we make it work. Dubai dads, roll deep, put respect on the turf. Yeah, we the desert kings.
Welcome to Dubai Dads. By dads, for dads, about everything no one told us. I'm Yas, with me is Hoos, and as usual, we are toy negotiators and part-time Uber drivers for our kids. Today we have a special guest, a good friend of mine from back in the day, Talal Al Qahtani from Saudi Arabia, joining us. He's based in Riyadh, but he's got a very interesting story with a lot of background in saving lives, believe it or not, and how that reflects on his role as a father with his children, and also his very interesting background in terms of his ethnicity. So, Talal, welcome to the show. Appreciate to have you on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How you been, man?
I've been great, man. How about yourselves?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. It's been an interesting week. We had our first Dubai Dads meetup yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We got a bunch of dads together physically, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a great time. Really enjoyed, meeting a lot of people face to face that are part of our community, our WhatsApp community. It's just a digital man cave for everyone to get together and sort of share experiences being a father in this day and age. Hoos, what did you think, man? It was a good
I
event.
loved it, man. I loved it.
Yeah.
For me, it was definitely a step forward, one extra step towards growing this community. It was awesome meeting everyone, having chats, seeing how we're all in a very similar place in this dadhood journey. So it was awesome, man. I loved every second of it.
It's amazing. Well, I'm glad we're here today. Talal, I've been wanting to connect with you for a while now, and after a very long time, we reconnected recently. So it was great to sort of talk to you about this and ask you to be a guest on our show. I just wanted to, to let everybody know a little bit about you before we jumped in. So Talal lived a life of contrast. Half his story was shaped in the U.S. and the other half in Saudi Arabia. His career exposed him to trauma, resilience, and the fragility of life, all of which transformed the way he shows up as a father. We talked about becoming a dad later in life, and we also talk about the fears only medics can understand. So I really want to get a little bit of the feel on what you do and how intense that is and how it's taken a toll on your life, and the cultural mix that shapes your parenting and the lessons that you wish you had learned earlier. So, without further ado, I'm going to ask you, Talal. You spent half your life in the U.S. and the other half in Saudi Arabia. Which version of you shows up most when you're raising your kids? The American side or the Saudi side, or something completely different?
Well, I guess it would depend on the situation. Different things call for different ways of handling things. I like to think of it as most like a mix. Growing up in the U.S. and how my childhood was, back there was mostly like, latchkey kind of, growing up, like if you're in a single parent home or something like that, come back from school, you'd have a key around your neck and you'd open the door, you go in, you don't open the door for anybody until your parents come home. So we've had a lot of freedoms like that, and things like that I've understood kind of shaped me growing up and being independent for myself. But at the same time, it exposed me to a lot of fears about leaving my kid by himself, or just to make sure that somebody's always there for them. When it comes to how to raise them, like American style or the Saudi style. I like to give the freedoms of the American style, but also the family upbringing as Saudi and Arab, and the cultures that we have in this part of the area, very tight knit. So that's mostly what I see about that.
When you get angry, do you yell in Arabic or in English?
It depends on how angry I am.
I always found it. The anger brings out the ethnic side. That's how it is for
Yeah,
me. I
exactly.
just
Yeah.
break
Yeah.
out Arabic when I get upset.
He
Yeah.
grabs his egg on as soon as he gets mad. Huh?
Yeah.
No, Talal's a gentle giant. I know him very well. He would never.
Yeah. Especially in my older years.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Talk about older years. So you became a dad at 40. That's a bit older than,
Yeah.
especially in our culture, which usually
Exactly. Yeah.
get married and have kids younger. I mean, I had my kid 30, early 30s. My first one. How does it feel? How's it different when you have kids at that age? How do you feel in terms of how you feel when like you're in your 20s or early 30s?
Yeah. So personally, I believe that if I would, if I would have had them earlier, um, like that's one of the things I do regret is I didn't have them earlier because I really enjoy being a father. But at the same time, I feel if I would have had them earlier, I would have been a different person. I'm a lot calmer now than I was when I was younger. And also I don't have the same desires to do a lot of the foolish things that I'd want to do when I was younger, or things that I have done. I think I'm more reliable as a father in my older age. And on the other side of that is, you still have that, there's this feeling of mortality
Mm.
that, you want to be there for your children, for a long time. And it's, you really realize it that, you might not have as much time with them as if, you had them when you were younger. But it's something that, you know, you have to deal with. You can't just gloss over it.
Yeah, it's a
Maybe it makes you
balance.
appreciate it more.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Definitely
funny
a
enough,
balance.
we had a whole conversation, me and Yas, in an earlier podcast where a part of me goes like, when we were talking about how would you want to have kids when like when you really, how some people have kids when they're like 16 or 18, right? Incredibly
Hmm.
young. And a part of me goes, you, if you did it, you'd struggle a lot. But then when you're like 40 or like 50 and they're like, 20,
Hmm.
or sorry, like they're like 30, for example, you're so close and you can really have that bond. But at the same time, everything comes with like a sacrifice. Either you sacrifice your youth
Yeah.
or it all comes down. It's all relative, I think.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Also, maybe life experiences as well that you could teach. That
Yeah.
if you didn't experience them, at certain ages, you wouldn't know how to, uh, teach them, different things and, the experiences that you've had. So, it's a give and take.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
relative.
it's a pro and a con. Absolutely. Like the difference between my firstborn and my lastborn, I have 3 kids, is almost 10 years, right? It's a decade, I would say, give or take, about 9 years. And I was a different person when I had my daughter, my first child. I was not as present. I was not as like I didn't want to do a lot of the things that I had to do. And so
Hmm.
I avoided spending as much time. I was away. I was, absent. I was still learning how to be a husband and have a
Hmm.
relationship with a person because, I lived alone for quite some time too. And after a while, you just realize like, oh, this is not just as simple as everybody makes it out to be. Like first you have to get into a
Yeah.
relationship. You have to become, one with your partner. And
Yeah.
as you grow older, that changes and you become a lot more comfortable in your own skin and with your
Hmm.
partner. So that way you're like 100% into, into being a dad, I feel.
Yeah.
So 100%. There's pros and cons, I think, in both
Definitely.
ways. You look at
Hmm.
it. Moving to the next question, you spent 23 years as a medic. You've
Yeah.
seen trauma,
Yeah.
loss,
Hmm.
emergencies, families breaking. What's one moment on the job that changed how you father your own kids? Like, has any of that impacted how you're a dad now?
In that line of work, like you said, I've seen so many different things. You know, loss, tragedies, traumas, all this kind of stuff. Um, where I'm always looking for the dangers. Like for example, if I see my kid running, I don't just see a kid running. I see him running, and I see maybe something on the floor that he might trip over and fall down. If I see like an empty socket, electrical socket that's not covered, I'm like, okay, he's gonna stick a fork in there. Just everything to me is a danger, and it was very hard to get over that with my first child. I was very, very protective with him. It was hard for me to give him a lot of freedoms to explore the world, because I seen so much that I wanted to protect him at all costs. And in the very beginning, it was, like I said, very difficult. Like, I remember when he was first born, and I would wake up every 20 minutes and I would go look at him to make sure that he's breathing, even though I know that he's perfectly fine. And if I don't see anything moving, I'll get out of bed. I'll go there. I'll put my hand on his chest. And just to make sure, okay, he's breathing. I go back to bed. I'm like, okay, you're just being silly. Of course, but everything gets thrown out the window when it's your family,
Yeah.
And my wife, she would sometimes laugh at me, but after a while, she just felt bad for me because I could not sleep for like 6-7 months. I'm waking up constantly. My second child, completely different. I let my wife take care of her, let her play. She can fall down and all that, because I experienced that, my son did these things and he's okay. Right. Yeah. So, you learn to let go a little bit.
Funny enough, I did the exact same thing with my first one. The moment I read a chapter in a book about SIDS, that tripped me up so much. With my first one, I would all night, at least for the first 2 or 3 months, I would get up, go, are you breathing? Okay, I go back to sleeping. Yeah, the second one I just slept through the night.
Yeah. Well, also another thing, like, so like I've seen car accidents and stuff like that. So like I would never let my kids go with anybody in the car except for with me, because I'd have them make sure they're in the car seat. I'd make sure, that they're, put in properly, and, drive slow. And, even my wife, for a long time, I wouldn't let them go with just her. And she's like, you don't trust me. I was like, no, I trust you. I don't trust everybody else.
Yeah.
And a lot of people know in Saudi Arabia, they're not the safest drivers here. So I had to take that in consideration as well.
Yeah.
And
it's a protector in us, right? Like all of us, we as soon as we gain that responsibility, I think it becomes it comes naturally, and you are probably having it like hyper focused because of what you've seen and what you've gone through. So totally get it. I can't even imagine what you've seen, and how it's taken a toll on you. I mean, in your own mental health, has it, just to carry on with that question, have you felt like it's taken a toll on you as a person? Like, do you feel like,
no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Not just about the things that you've seen, but also like the amount of hours that you work, the sacrifices that you do during this whole time. Since it's an emergency service, you're always putting others before yourself. So, for example, I might not be working, or I might be just about to get off, and somebody's going to come late. So I'll have to stay later. I'll have to work, instead of like a 12-hour shift, it might have to turn into a 24-hour shift. Wow. Because we have to cover the shift. We have to make sure that there's emergency coverage for everybody that needs it.
So you're a first responder, right?
Yeah, I was. I still in the field, but now I'm running the dispatch.
Okay.
Emergency dispatch, because I unfortunately I did hurt my back on the job.
On the job? Okay.
Yeah, so that's taken its toll, but at least I got to, I'm in the office now.
Were you a first responder in the U.S. or only or in Saudi Arabia, or both?
No, just here. So before I was a first responder, I was actually going to school for my airframe and power plant to be an aircraft mechanic.
Okay.
And unfortunately, during that time, as 2001, something happened. And being from Saudi Arabia and going to school, so it was time for me to change. And at the same time, my mother, she got sick. She got, she had cancer, and I had to leave that and go take care of her. And in doing that, it made me appreciate, what the healthcare system was doing, like the people coming to help, how it made me feel. and that I wasn't by myself, and kind of pushed me towards that direction. And
Wow,
then
that's
came
cool.
back to Saudi and went into school for that, and it's been like that ever
Wow,
since.
man.
That's cool, eh? It's
Yeah,
inspirational in the sense that like
yeah,
you
yeah,
experience something and you realize like, wow, this is a selfless job. I want to do this. This is
yeah.
what I'm, going to do. I gotta say, man, like what you do is amazing, and I think you have a lot of people's prayers and blessings with you because of what you've done to help them
Nice.
and save them in situations where they couldn't have gotten out.
No, thank you for that.
Yeah, it's very powerful stuff, man. Again, must be first responders, man. So much respect to them and the things they do and sacrifices. And, it's not easy because the human instinct is always to think about your own safety first, right?
Mm.
I feel
Yeah,
first responders have to almost ignore that innate instinct,
yeah. You got to fight that.
override it, right?
Fight or flight.
Yeah.
You have to override that sometimes.
Yeah,
Um, so it's it, and it's also it has a lot of adrenaline in it too. So it's really exciting, but at the same time, when that adrenaline comes down, and then the weight of what you just witnessed or what you just did, or it comes down. Sometimes it comes down pretty heavy,
I'm sure.
and sometimes you have like remorse, not about what you did, but like
Like I
that
could have done
you.
more or I could have done better.
Yeah, exactly.
That was
And
a tough one. It must be a tough one.
yeah,
You always could be like, if
but
I was a little
on
faster, if I was a little,
yeah, but on the other side of that as well, um, there's one case I remember. This was like towards the beginning of my career. We went and we got I think it was around like a 50-year-old male. He was having chest pain. He was unconscious. Me and my partner brought him. We got him to the hospital. Um, and he survived. He had an MI, and then right after that, this little girl came up and she like kind of hugged me around my leg, and I looked at her, and she was the little girl that was at the house who seen us there,
okay.
you know,
wow, powerful.
and so like little things like that, it's it, it makes up for for the tough times.
Yeah, there's nothing like it.
Yeah,
I
Definitely.
think firefighters are other people that kind of experience these kind of things, right?
I think firefighters even more so, because like if there's a fire, I'm not going in there. We're running away. They're the only ones running towards.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
have so much respect for firefighters and anyone who puts their life in danger for others. Like we're there to help. We know the medical side, but when you have somebody who's going into danger, that takes a special kind of person.
it does. It's
I think
crazy.
you have to be wired differently. You
Oh yeah,
can't be the average person.
yeah, and you got to be
Selfless.
just a little bit crazy too.
Yeah, I can
Just a
see
little.
that.
Yeah, I think you have to be a risk taker. I think
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
have to have that. That's powerful stuff, man. A lot to unpack there. If you could have a conversation with younger Talal, right? Before marriage and fatherhood, and even being a first responder, what would you tell him about being about family, about purpose, about doing the right thing? What would that conversation look like?
That's a good question. I would say, it would be a lot about, have patience with the people around you and your family. Try to understand where everyone's coming from. Don't be so quick to react to something. Try to love your family, your kids, your wife, you know, deeply, and to be there for them. I think that would be the most important thing, especially for fathers, is to be there. I think a lot of people in the past generations, like their fathers might have been there, but they weren't present.
Yeah,
If you know what I mean.
yeah,
And I think to be present is not just to be there physically, but to be there emotionally for them, to be there for everything. Like you need to put the ones that you love, you need to put their needs before yours. And after time, you will feel and you will notice that their needs are also your needs as well.
Right.
You know,
Powerful.
And it's like the fourth guest now says a very similar
Right.
thing, right? It's a very recurring theme we're having about being present, even if the moment is a short moment,
Yeah.
maximizing the quality. Everyone keeps talking about the quality over quantity, the quality over quantity,
yeah,
maximizing that moment. That's so it's powerful. It's very important, man.
Yeah. Huge echo. We've heard it from every single dad that we've spoken to.
Yeah.
Every single one. It's necessary, and I think in our generation we realize that, we understand that, because a lot of us have this feeling of like not remembering our dads around as much. Like for me, I remember when I woke up, my dad wasn't around because he used to work night shift. In my early age, he was in like the hotel industry and stuff. So he would work night shift and he would come back and he'd be sleeping. So by the time he got up, I would see him for a little while, and then he'd get up and go back to work, and that was it. So I got maybe 10 minutes with him on a regular day, and then maybe on a weekend we would spend an hour or two together, and that was all I recall. I knew he was there. He was the figure, the big figure in my life, but not like interacting with me, joking with me. We didn't
yeah,
have that kind of a relationship. And I was like, I need to do that with my kids. It has to
oh yeah,
be something that I'm going to make sure is part of my life. So totally echo that. I think we all get that, and that's really cool. Feels like an evolution almost of fatherhood,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's really cool that way. I want to ask you, man. So you have a very interesting background when it comes to your parents. Your
Yeah.
mom is Native American, or was
Hmm.
Native American, and your dad is Saudi,
Yeah.
and also like what people call Qabili Saudi, so like
Yeah.
from a specific tribe. So it's a very strong, I guess, background, because you can
Yeah.
go back to your lineage for, I don't know, generations. How has that impacted who you are? And like, first of all, can you tell us a little bit about their backgrounds, in the sense that, like, do you
Yeah.
know their tribes, and what
Yeah. Yeah.
where they come from?
So for my mother, so we're from Minnesota, in the U.S. I grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota. We're from what they call the Ojibwe tribe,
Okay.
um, where our specific part of the Ojibwe tribe comes from in Minnesota is called White Earth, Minnesota, and that's where the reservation is. Growing up, we'd always go to like the powwows and go up to like different events up there, and we'd go see some, we have certain members of family, not too many members of family that live there on the reservation. Most people live in the city and all that, but there's still a couple people who want to stay close to the ties and everything. So we would go up there all the time and experience it and dance. I never danced, but I watched everybody else doing the dances, and we'd go around eating Indian fry bread and Indian tacos and all that, and doing all that stuff was always was always great, and learning about a lot of the heritage that I didn't learn from books. I would learn it from like my grandmother, because most of our stories are told, through stories, and they would tell you like how it was, and the good, the bad, some of the stuff that was uncovered, like recently in news, of some of the bad stuff. They would even tell us about that, and stuff like that, and also teaching you about nature. Everybody in my family over there is, pretty linked in with nature. They hunt, they fish, they do a lot of camping and stuff like that. They're into that, a lot. On my dad's side, so my dad's side, we're Al Qahtani. We're from originally from Abha. They call us Sifr Sab'a, or 07. But they've moved to Riyadh a long time ago. My grandfather moved to Riyadh, and he's been pretty prominent here. He was well known, in the business side. he also ran hotels, and he had his own hotel and all that. So my father, he went to the U.S. For school. First, he was in California and all that. Then he moved to Minnesota. He was going to the university there. He's going for business and all that. And he met my mother in a diner it's actually pretty famous. It's been in a couple movies. It's actually, as I think, one of those heritage sites. It's called Mickey's Diner.
Yeah, I know Mickey's Diner.
Yeah, so that's where my mom used to
Cool.
work, and my dad used to go there, and he would order like liver and onions, and
Very Arab.
he didn't really like it, but he would go order it because of my mom, and my mom's cousin, one of my aunts would. He would tell her, what's her name? Oh, can you get this for me? I want coffee, or I want this. And, he would ask, when does she work? And he would come in on those days that she's working and, leave tips and stuff like that. And, one thing, goes to another, and, they meet up. They got married in London. And then it was me.
Yeah, truly
Yeah.
global. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
East, West come together in the middle, and then in
Exactly.
Europe, and then you end up. But you spent like a lot of your time with your mom, and then you came out to Saudi afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. So growing up, my first 20 or so years was in the U.S. After I was like 4 or 5, my dad moved back to Saudi Arabia. My mom came with us, and I went to first grade here. My mom, she couldn't take it at that time over here because it was really,
tough.
really,
Different time.
really tough. Yeah, it was a different time.
Yeah.
So she wanted to go back. So she went back. So they were separated for all that time. So I was living there, just me and my mother, and I would come here to see my father in the summer. So like 2 months out of the year, I would see him. But I was here for the 2 months of the summer and then go back.
Right.
So that's like he would always call me, and but back then also like phone call. It was only a phone call. There was no internet. There was no,
Yeah.
none of this stuff that we have now that brings the world together. Everything just seems so far, and it was hard to get in touch with people. And
Probably to get a payphone.
so yeah.
For anyone listening,
And
that's what a payphone is. It's a phone with a cord. You put money in it to call.
yeah.
Remember, long distance phone calls cost an arm and a leg.
Oh my god, they were just like
Oh yeah.
a couple dollars
It
a
would
minute or something, right?
Like a dollar and a half a minute or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
it's something
Nowadays,
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's amazing, man. So it kind of now it kind of trickles down into your kids. So do you share like your native traditions and your Saudi traditions? I mean, they're living in Saudi, so obviously they're
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
the Saudi tradition regardless.
Yeah.
But do you also share your native traditions with them?
A little bit, a little bit. So
Yeah.
right now, they're getting the full Saudi experience with, a Western twist on it.
Right.
But with the native stuff, I've actually, my aunts and my grandmother, before she passed away, she bought a bunch of like books for kids that were about, native culture and stuff like that. And, they were always like, give it to them when they're old enough to read it and understand it so that they
Very cool.
at least know about their history. They don't have to practice anything, but at
Yeah.
least to know about it. And if they want to, go deeper into it, they can. So I have those, and I got them like moccasins and like beads and stuff like that, and all kinds of things like that. So my family on that side, they really wanted me to to teach them, and I do plan on teaching them what I know, and also what they've left for them as well.
Have you taken them to
I do-
Minnesota yet?
Huh?
Have you taken them to Minnesota for a visit?
I haven't taken them yet. I plan to sometime in the future, in the near future. Maybe when they get just a little bit older, especially my daughter.
They
She's
can understand it, comprehend it.
yeah, and so that's I really want them to know about it because it's really important for them to know about their heritage. And,
It's a very
all
unique
that.
and interesting mix. That's
Very,
amazing.
man. Did you find similarities between the two sides? Because again, like Saudi Arabia is really Bedouin tribal, so there's a very tribal essence. So
Oh yeah. No doubt. So like Indian culture is basically like the tribe raises the kids, right? So everything and everyone has a purpose. Everybody has something to teach. Everybody has something to do. in the tribe there. They're very close, a close-knit community.
It's a village. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the same thing over here, you know, like everybody's there. If we say you have your God, and then you have family. This is, who you rely on, So I do find a lot of similarities with that. A lot of things, like traditions that they might be different but similar in maybe some of the concepts, similar in why you would have them. So there is similarities in there, and I think that makes it a little bit easier too for them to understand when they get older, because it won't be such a big jump for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very interesting stuff, man. I think I don't know. We were talking about offline for a second, but like I love it when there's all the mix of cultures. 'Cause I feel it really has a deepness to it. And I think there's so much of beautiful heritage out there. So it's awesome that you're making sure to pass it along. That's beautiful in its essence, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, we're like third culture, even fourth culture kids, right?
Yeah.
Us, like
Yeah,
that's who we are. I mean, all three of us, I think. My background, my roots are Indian. I grew up in Canada. Then I ended up spending more than half my life in the Middle East. Hassam has an American influence. He's Lebanese. He's got so much other, influence. Now you're married to somebody from the Far East, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's such a different, diverse world that we are living in, and we are, teaching our kids or even sharing with our kids. And these perspectives, I think, are invaluable. I think they are very, very unique and like they add so much depth and richness to who these children are becoming. It really is really cool. But I think I do feel sometimes that I don't belong to somewhere in particular. Is that a feeling you guys get? Do you get that feeling of like, how somebody that was born and raised somewhere and grew up there their whole life is like, I'm a patriot and this is where I'm from forever?
Yep.
I don't feel that. I take it as a good thing. I'm a global citizen, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Usually what we do is we end our podcast with a question that we ask all of our and even other guests that aren't dads, like Anna last time, is, if you could give one piece of advice to all the dads out there, what would it be? What's your,
Like I was saying before, be patient, be present, do what you need to do. It's not a race. It is, though, a process. Everybody's learning. You're not doing a bad job. Yes. You're doing a good job, no matter what. It's a learning process for everybody. If it's your first or your 10th child, every child is going to be different. Everyone's going to have a different experience. Just take it as it goes, and like I said, just be there, be present, and have patience, be calm.
Golden
Love
advice.
it, man. Absolutely love it, man.
Amazing.
And honestly, it's an absolute pleasure talking to you, man. It's appreciate.
It was my pleasure.
Perspective is awesome, and it seems like you're doing an awesome job as a dad. So, as a fellow dad, we appreciate you, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining the community too. You're a part of it now. So
We'd love to see you next time
appreciate
you're in
it.
Dubai, man. Please.
yeah,
You're
let us know.
fantastic, man.
Yep.
Amazing. Talal, it was a pleasure having you on, and we'll be in touch, and maybe we'll have you on again, man. You have so much more to share with us. So would love to get a little more
Anytime.
insight and perspective.
Yeah, pleasure was mine.
Habibi. All right. I'm Yas, he's Hoos, and we are Dubai Dads.
Laughing through the heat while the sun goes down. From the dunes to the towers, yeah, we own this land. Dubai Dad stand up with a mic in hand. Carpool karaoke on the Sheikh Zay flow. Kids in the back yelling, Dad, you too slow. Brunch game strong, got the coffee on deck. Morning start early, but the vibe's still fresh. Suit and tie in the morning, flip-flops by noon. Balancing the